Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Welcome back. And now those that are new, welcome. From Hannity.com. It's Pelosi's problem, Trump says. Nancy turned down 10,000 soldiers. She's responsible for January 6th. That's true. So did the mayor of D.C. Now, this is a recent sit-down that President Trump had to meet the press. I know he has to talk to people outside the press that especially hates his guts. But unfortunately, it's the only way to get some of your message out. And he blasts former Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She was in charge of security. Him as the President of the United States had zero, I repeat, zero authority to put troops on the Capitol grounds. It's a different branch of government. He doesn't have that authority. Trump just declined to answer if he called military law enforcement that day. Well, we're going to see what he says, and I'm going to tell you why he couldn't tell everything, and there's a really good reason for it. Let's listen.
By the way,
on that day,
Nancy Pelosi, I don't have. Why would I tell you that? Listen, Nancy Pelosi was in charge of security. She turned down 10,000 soldiers. If she didn't turn down the soldiers, you wouldn't have had January 6th.
Did you call military or law enforcement?
What?
Did you call military or law enforcement at the moment the Capitol was under attack?
I'm not going to tell you anything.
I'm not going to tell you anything. Now, think about this for a minute. Trump will be more than happy to explain what he did. You have to remember something. He's been indicted. He has supposedly, I'm not sure what the exact charges are, but basically insurrection. You know, they're trying to get him on the 14th Amendment and make him a traitor so he can't run for president next year. With your trial coming up, would you give up any information that you can use in your defense? I sure as hell wouldn't. And for all those people that think, oh, Trump, he's a liar, he's not telling. Well, anybody with two brain cells touching wouldn't give out information prior to a trial, would you? I sure as hell wouldn't. And Trump's no dummy, neither are his lawyers.
Let me put it this way. I behaved so well. I did such a good job. Nancy Pelosi turned down 10,000 soldiers. If she didn't do that,
but
and now
Nancy
I understand.
Pelosi doesn't have the authority that
the
you
police
have as
testified
commander-in-chief, though.
Listen to me, Kristen. Listen to me. I understand that the police testified against her, the chief very strongly against her, Capitol Police, great people. They testified against her, and they burned all the evidence. Okay? They burned all the evidence. They destroyed all the evidence.
That's true. 1.5 terabytes of information. Any computer person knows 1.5 terabytes is a crap ton of information. Videos, emails, texts, all kinds of information. God knows how many documents, digitalized documents, were just magically disappeared when the House asked for the information from the January 6th committee. 1.5 terabytes just disappeared. Now remember, the National Archives went after President Trump for having information that he wasn't supposed to have. Where are the people that go in the jail for getting rid of 1.5 terabytes of information? Tens of thousands of documents, hundreds of videos, thousands of emails, God knows how many thousands of texts, all gone. And yet the National Archives is dead silent. Isn't that interesting?
Evidence about Nancy Pelosi.
What do you say to people who wonder why you as commander-in-chief, you have authorities that Nancy Pelosi doesn't have as commander-in-chief?
No, she has authority over the
Why didn't
Capitol.
you send help in that moment, though?
Frankly, just so you understand, I assumed that she took care of it. She turned down.
So when you realized that the National Guard wasn't coming?
Well, you don't realize anything until quite a while. National Guard not coming. I asked it to be there 3 days in advance, and she turned it down.
She says that request was never officially made.
Oh,
just so you know.
Let me just tell you.
Oh, it wasn't officially made. I asked you on the phone. I guess that's not official enough. You have to have it documented. But he has documentation from the D.C. mayor say no. And the D.C. mayor takes orders from the speaker.
Let me ask you about pardons, Mr. President.
The mayor of D.C. gave us a letter saying that she turns it down. Okay, we have it. Nancy Pelosi also was asked, and she turned it down. The police commissioner
I'm talking about
Capitol
the day
Police,
of,
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Capitol Police said that he wanted it, and Nancy Pelosi wouldn't accept it. She's responsible for January 6th.
Mr. President.
Go to Tucker Carlson's Twitter page and see the interview with the former chief of the Washington, D.C. police, a 30-year veteran who started as a beat cop and became a chief of police. So this guy knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And he goes through it in detail, what he did just prior to when all hell broke loose and they got through the gate while they were storming into the Capitol building on the one side. And he'll tell you who turned them down and why and who answers to who in the end. And he said repeatedly, the Capitol Police work at the behest of the Speaker, and that is Nancy Pelosi. Trump has no authority over the National Guard unless he federalizes them. Of course, she probably knows that, or maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's uninformed. I won't say stupid, uninformed. How's that? They know, though. They know the deal. They have lawyers. They have Democrats that know the law concerning who can do what. How are you going to federalize the National Guard? And by the way, the chief of police, the former chief of police of D.C. that wanted the National Guard, had him right in the city already. He said many of the National Guard members live within sight of the Capitol. Think about that for a minute. And yet they could do nothing. How was Trump going to federalize them at that late date? It's amazing to me. They have to make it his fault. Interesting.
Nancy Pelosi's responsible.
Mr. President, you're the president, though. You have
her.
authorities that no one else has as the commander-in-chief. Do you think you showed leadership on that?
Yes, absolutely, I did.
Okay. I want to know.
No, absolutely he did. He's not going to say. He's not going to say, hey, you know what? He had so much information on that January 6th committee that was just deleted. How do you delete a terabyte and a half worth of information by accident? You don't. You don't. You know, it's funny. It reminds me of the Nixon tapes. There were parts were erased. He had to resign. It's amazing to me. How can Trump defend himself when all that information to use in his defense mysteriously disappeared under Democrat control? I mean, to be fair, if this was reversed and this was Joe Biden being brought up on charges and the Republican January 6th committee deleted all that, Democrats would be screaming to high heaven. High heaven, why isn't someone in jail? I would assume a computer forensics expert can go through and find out how and why those files were deleted. A terabyte and a half is a crap load of information. It's amazing to me. I have 2,000 videos on my computer from doing things on YouTube here. I'm not even close to a terabyte and a half. That's not even counting all the pictures and everything else, thumbnails, you name it. All kinds of videos, all kinds of things on my computer, not even close. Tens of thousands of files. A terabyte and a half just gone. And I'll bet you they're just the exact ones that he needed to help with his defense. What a coincidence. This documented. He asked Pelosi several days before, and the D.C. mayor, who answers to Nancy Pelosi. A D.C. mayor can't take a crap without the Speaker of the House. Okay. So when Trump asked the D.C. mayor, and she said, no, it's bad optics, she was really speaking for Nancy Pelosi. She does not have the authority to say yes to the president or no. Only the Speaker does. This isn't a it's funny. Everybody accuses Trump of being a dictator. And in one of the instances where he didn't act like a dictator, they criticize him for it. It's amazing to me. Whether you like Trump or not, this is absolutely ridiculous. So we're going to have to see. I wouldn't tell any of my defense either in this interview. And I'm sure he was drilled to death by his lawyers. Mr. President, don't say a word, don't say a word, don't say a word, don't say a word about your defense. That's why he said, I'm not telling. And I don't blame him. I wouldn't either. It's amazing to me. People are being thrown in jail for 15, 20 years for standing in a doorway. Some weren't even inside the Capitol. They're outside the building, and they're going to federal prison. This is insane. Absolutely insane. And the best case scenario is Next November is the election. The following January is the swearing in of the president. And if it's Trump, it's going to take that long before he can pardon these people. It's disgusting and despicable. We're going to have to see how it turns out. Biden is going to notify the country in the spring of next year. My guess is late February, mid-March. Then, because of talking about with his family and his friends and his colleagues, his lifelong goal of being a dream of being president of the United States was fulfilled, not for his own personal satisfaction, but to help the country point in the right direction. And I've done that now. So now I'm going to turn it over to the new generation of Democrats who will help turn this ship around and keep Donald Trump from being president of the United States. So I do this not for myself, but for the country. If anybody believes that bullshit, I got some stuff I want to sell them. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.